Costumes.
Hey, yo, what the f?
Welcome everybody to another episode of the Pipala show, and if you clicked on this video, you most likely clicked on it because of the thumbnail and because of the title. So we're just going to get right into it. Over the weekend was the Oscars. That's just what it was. And now what the Oscars is basically people don't watch it anymore. Unless there's like either a good host or they tune in midway because something happened. And so this past year's Oscars that happened on Sunday I think it's just another cheap attempt of entertainment from Hollywood. And so everything that happened was quite odd, right? There are a couple highlights as we're going to talk about in this first part of the show, but there was a lot of cringe. And more specifically, when I talk about cringe, I talk about mostly the stuff from Jimmy Kimmel. There was one thing with John Cena that happened. So Jimmy Kimmel came out and he did his normal monologue, right? Whatever. And there was a period at the time of the part where he was presenting in the Oscars where there was something with John Cena and it made a lot of people question why he did it. So John Cena has already been a part of Hollywood for a while. He's been in movies forever. He was in WWE. He was a big wrestler, still is, famous for the You Can't See Me stuff. And John Cena has been famous for a long time. So I'm not sure why he did this, but we're just going to put it on the screen and you guys can see it for yourselves. Here we go. I don't know why. Why is he doing this?
Costumes.
It doesn't make sense. Why does he have to be naked in front of everybody?
Maybe the most important thing there is. I can't open the envelope without
The nominees for Best Costume Design are...
It's like, what I don't get is, okay, they were trying to, John Cena, it was like a thing, as you guys heard, right? It was a thing where they were going to show like the nominees for the best costume designer and then honor the best person who made the costume, right? The best costume and the best designer that won. But like, why did you have to have, that's why it was so weird. I don't get why you have to have John Cena parade out naked to do that. It wasn't funny. Nobody laughed. I don't think that's funny. It's weird. And a lot of people online thought that maybe this was John Cena's humiliation ritual. So if you haven't been following these conspiracies, right, there's a conspiracy to quote unquote get into the Illuminati. And it's a thought that there's these things that you have to do if you want to infiltrate this group to get into the Illuminati. You do what's called a humiliation ritual. And the humiliation rituals, typically what happens is you have to humiliate yourself, right? So there was the viral picture of Lil Baby over last summer, where he was at Michael Rubin's all-white party, and he was getting, like, smothered by, like, a bunch of other men. There were no pictures of him getting smothered by, like, women. I'm talking about, like, hugs. Like, these men were all over him, and it looked like he was enjoying it. That's what it looked like. I mean, it was really weird, basically. And so, I don't know. So, Patrick Bet-David actually touched on this very issue, and he talked about his opinion on what these so-called humiliation rituals are, and if this was in fact a humiliation ritual. And so we're going to talk about it right now, and we are going to see, because it's a relatively interesting topic, and I think it should be touched upon, at least briefly. So here we go.
John Cena's goes nude on the Oscar stage in a nod to infamous Academy Award streaker quips, "The male body is not a joke." John Cena appeared naked on Oscar stage while presenting the award of Best Costume Design to Poor Things. It was all part of a bit that paid homage to one of the craziest moments in history of Academy Awards, when a naked man ran on stage at the 46th Oscars in 1974 while David Neiman
It just wasn't funny.
was introducing Elizabeth Taylor. It was at the height of the 70s, a streaking fan when nude people frequently interrupted public events. "I changed my mind. I don't want to do the streaker bit." He told Kimmel, "I just don't feel right about it. It's an elegant event. You know you should feel shame right now for..."
Hold on. So apparently John Cena didn't want to do the streaker bit, but Jimmy Kimmel said you have to, I guess. I didn't know that. That was interesting.
Or suggesting such a tasteless joke. Kimmel said the bit was supposed to be funny, to which Senna hilariously responded, "The male body is not a joke."
It's true.
I mean,
So apparently John Cena didn't want to do it. He said the male body's not a joke. Huh.
Any of you guys see this actual clip? Did you see it live?
yeah.
No, I saw.
No,
the
I saw
clip
as soon
later.
as it happened, it was all over X. But I just wonder, is he gonna apologize to the parents of all the kids? Because mind you, a lot of his fans wrestling, they're watching this, Adam. This isn't that late on the West Coast. Is he gonna apologize to the parents for showing his naked ass like he apologized to China in Chinese
good point.
when he said Taiwan was a country? This is a humiliation ritual. All right, like in 2000, I think 20 started wearing dresses. He's on OnlyFans doing weird crap. Hollywood does this when you want fame and fortune. They make you either you sell your soul, or you make a crazy sacrifice, or they have to shame your ass like this. And dude, this is not him. This is not what he wants to do. Do you think he wants to do that,
Well,
Adam? His ex-wife is there. Nikki Bella was there, and then his fan base is like, bro, there's kids watching you. Mind you, I've had my clothes off, naked G-string. I was on Showtime. I was on a late night. Kids are asleep. I'm not doing that shit on the Oscars.
Hold on. You were naked in a G-string?
Yeah, I've done a lot of crazy
Do you
stuff.
think we're just going to gloss over that real quick?
No.
Moving right along. Hold on, Vinny.
Hold on.
All right, that's getting to something that I don't want to cover. But is that not weird? John Cena, they make a point on the Patrick Bet-David show. They make a very good point. Up until like 2020, John Cena wasn't doing this shit. John Cena was, wearing like the tight shirts, right? And I feel like cargo shorts all the time. He had like those wristbands and stuff like that. If you're a fan of pro wrestling, he was doing that. I remember all the time, right, when I'd see a video movie where John Cena was in growing up, or like a promotional thing for wrestling or whatever, it almost felt, I was like, where is his lower body? Because he's got such a big upper body, just a massive guy, muscles just that I could never have. Like stuff like that. Like, where is your lower body, bro? Like, he was just upper body, just a torso, essentially. But that's what I remember him as. Like, he wasn't this. I've seen him, he's in multiple videos, clips and movies that you could find where he's wearing a dress. And it's just like, I don't understand. But it's weird, man. And this is from a group in Hollywood, to go back to the point. Hollywood loves to lecture people. They love to tell you to vote this way, or this is wrong. For example, if you own a gas-powered car, you should have an electric-powered car, because that's how you save the world. And you're a bad person if you have a gas-powered car, and so on and so forth. That's just an example of what they do. But Hollywood is the last place that should be lecturing people. You know what I mean? Hollywood is the last place where any of this shit should be okay. Because if you think back only to a couple years ago, you'll remember a man named Harvey Weinstein. And Harvey Weinstein, for anybody that doesn't know, was not a good person. He was a movie producer, worked in Hollywood for decades. And if you go back, you can find numerous actors and actresses saying, "Thank you, Harvey Weinstein," praising this man for the success that they have in their career, getting whatever role. There's a very it's an infamous clip of Jennifer Lawrence when she won her Oscar. I believe it was her Oscar, and she thanked Harvey Weinstein for everything. Literally, thank you, Harvey Weinstein. She said how she's scared of him, but it was crazy, because then shortly after that, everything came out. Now, Harvey Weinstein is in jail today. Harvey Weinstein is a terrible human being. Harvey Weinstein not only committed numerous acts of sexual assault, but he committed acts of sexual violence too. He would basically, if you don't know, he would pressure young starlets, young women, or women in general that were already actresses in Hollywood, would pressure them into doing sexual favors for him, and then he would give them parts. This guy's a terrible human being, and Hollywood pretends that this was the last time this happened. But in reality, this has been happening forever, and I can almost guarantee you it still happens today. For example, right, Quentin Tarantino was on the Joe Rogan podcast saying, "Oh yeah, I worked for Harvey Weinstein, with Harvey Weinstein for decades across. He was alongside some of my movies. He worked with me. He, was part of it. But I never thought that Harvey Weinstein was doing anything. I never suspected anything. How could I?" And then, the actors too as well throughout the years would say the same thing and just deny. I had no clue. How would I know? You're full of shit. All these people are full of shit. Okay? How would you not know that the biggest movie producer in Hollywood for decades was a monster, was constantly pressuring young actresses to do him sexual favors, and then in exchange he would give them parts, blackmailing them essentially? How would you know? And then when they said, oh, I'm not comfortable with this, I'm gonna, they threatened to call somebody, whatever, threatened to sue, threatened some legal action, he would say, okay, I'll have you blacklisted from Hollywood, I'll make this all go away. This guy was a piece of shit. And all these people in Hollywood saying, oh yeah, I had no clue. No, you're just protecting yourself. That's what it is. I'll give you a prime example, okay, from my own life. I was never sexually assaulted or molested. However, when I was in college, this was year 3 of me being in college, I was in an economics class, and there was a guy who ended up sitting next to me, okay, a fellow student, whatever. And, 2 weeks, right? I'm probably in the class 4 times over the 2 week span. And this guy, he had something off. I could tell immediately. He sat on my right. I remember it like it was yesterday. And I would make jokes, right, about the professor. The professor didn't have much hair. He was like in his late 20s, but he was balding. And to be honest with you, he should have shaved it off, right? But he was just still hanging on. God bless him. I would make a couple jokes at his expense. Okay, I'd make a couple jokes at the professor's expense to this guy that sat right next to me, okay? Nothing. No emotion. Didn't really laugh. It was odd. I would try and make small talk then because I felt awkward. I'd make a comment, whatever. Try and kind of make it funny, but maybe ask about the lesson, whatever. Almost nothing. It was a really weird vibe. I could tell something was wrong. This guy didn't feel like a person. He felt like a part of himself was like just gone. After that 2 week period, I didn't see him for like a week. Then one of my classmates that I was in the class in sends me a picture of a screenshot from an article. And the guy that was sitting next to me was arrested for rape. It turns out that this kid was a youth guy, whatever, I was 21 at the time, was a youth pastor. And not only was he a youth pastor, but he was also touching little girls. And so I knew for 2 weeks of knowing this person, being around this person, that something was off. You mean to tell me that you worked with Harvey Weinstein for decades and you couldn't get like a vibe? Are you kidding? That's why I know these people are full of shit. So here's another thing from the Oscars that people were talking about that they didn't like. So Robert Downey Jr., everybody knows Robert Downey Jr., right? Robert Downey Jr., we're going to pause this. Robert Downey Jr. played Iron Man. He is a very successful actor in Hollywood. Great guy. Everybody loves. I don't know anybody that doesn't like Robert Downey Jr. Republican, Democrat. I don't know anybody that hates this guy. Well, Jimmy Kimmel made a pretty distasteful joke in the eyes of a lot of people online. So we're gonna play it, and then we're gonna let see what you guys think. We'll talk about it a little bit, but it didn't fly with me, and I don't think it flew with a lot of people. Here we go. If it loads, I don't see it loading. Hold on 1 second, everybody. Must not have a good Wi-Fi connection or something. But we'll just tell you what happened, and hopefully it'll be loaded by then. Jimmy Kimmel, what he did was he made a joke at Robert Downey Jr.'s expense. It was Robert Downey Jr.'s first night, or first time winning an Oscar. Huge moment in his career. He never got one for playing Iron Man or any of the other great roles that he was in the past. But he got an Oscar for his performance in Oppenheimer, which I still haven't seen. Still have not seen that movie. Have to see it. But he won an Oscar, right? And so what Jimmy Kimmel did was saying, this is a pretty big high in Robert Downey Jr.'s life. But I guarantee you it's not the highest high. And he pointed to his nose a little bit because Robert Downey Jr. has had a lot of drug problems in the past, right? He was in an all-time low in his life. He was in jail for drugs. He has had a lot of problems with drug addiction in the past. But my nose is itchy too, ironically, right? He had a lot of problems in the past with drugs, and he was at the lowest point of his life, and then he got Iron Man and completely turned his life around. This guy, nobody hates this guy, but Jimmy Kimmel made this joke. It's still not going. We're going to try again here, and we're going to try and get this. Let's see here. Here we go. Alrighty, so Jimmy Kimmel made this joke.
And congratulations to Silly Ann's co-star, Robert Downey Jr., who is, this is the highest point of Robert Downey Jr.'s long and illustrious career. Well, one of the highest points.
Yeah, like,
but
that's such a low blow. Nobody thinks that's funny. Look at him. Robert Downey Jr. feels awkward about it. Of course he does.
on the nose, or is that a drug motion you made?
That's terrible. Why? That's not even funny.
I mean, look at this guy. He's so handsome, so talented. He's won every award there is to win. Is that an acceptance speech in your pocket, or do you just have a very rectangular penis?
Bro, I just don't get it. Like, nobody likes Robert Downey. I mean, nobody doesn't like Robert Downey Jr. He's universally loved all across the globe, not just the country. And so, that was a low blow, man. Jimmy Kimmel's not really funny. I don't like him personally. I just think, man, the Oscars in general, it's not something that people watch anymore. Like, nobody cares. Why does Hollywood continue to put these people out in front of us? And then these people, once, social media happened, all these people now have these massive followings. Now we don't just see them in commercials or movies. We get to know what they're actually like. And social media kind of lifted up the curtain to see who people in Hollywood were actually like. People that have problems, no doubt. Not just problems, but people that aren't relatable. None of these people are relatable. You see who they endorse. There's only like a couple of cool people in Hollywood, in my opinion. Somebody like Robert Downey Jr., you don't really know his political views. You don't really care. It's not important. He's not lecturing you about what you should do and that you're a bad person if you vote this way, or you have one thing that maybe not be the most beneficial for the environment, but it's your only choice. You know what I mean? Like, he's not a person who lectures. You know what I mean? There's so many people in Hollywood who lecture and tell regular people in America, mostly middle America, is the target of the jokes and the lecturing. This is how you have to act. This is how you have to live. But these people are the worst people possible. These people are not good, not moral people, and have been complicit with people like Harvey Weinstein for decades. So don't even say that you're a good person if you're in Hollywood, or that people should act like you act or live how you live, because these things are not true. It's a facade. So that's that. I did not stop recording, actually. Moving on, because I'm done talking about that. That's stupid. There's something big that's happening currently in American politics, not just American politics, but just America in general. The House of Representatives, the United States House of Representatives, passed a bill that could lead to the ban of TikTok. So this was yesterday. Today is Thursday, the 14th. This was yesterday, March 13th, 2024. The House of Representatives passed a bill that could lead to the ban of TikTok. So here's what happened, and then we'll react, and I'll throw my opinion in there too. All right, so it says right here, a bill could ban the TikTok across the U.S. Here's what to know about today's House vote, which is from yesterday, and what the app's future is. The U.S. House of Representatives voted Wednesday to pass a bill that could lead to a nationwide ban against TikTok, one of the world's most popular social media apps. It's not yet clear what the future of the bill will be in the Senate. So yes, it does have to pass the Senate after the House. So we'll see what happens there. Who voted for the bill? So the House vote was 352 to 65, with 50 Democrats and 15 Republicans voting in opposition, a rare show of bipartisanship. The measure advanced unanimously out of the powerful House Energy and Commerce Committee, and President Joe Biden said he would sign the bill if it makes it to his desk. So this is huge, because we rarely see like a bipartisan effort to pass a bill ever now. We're extremely partisan in this country, whether you're Democrat or Republican. We're very divided on almost everything, so it's actually refreshing to see some change being done. Why the bill was passed. Lawmakers supportive of the bill argued TikTok poses a national security threat because of the Chinese government could use its intelligence laws against TikTok's Chinese parent company, ByteDance, forcing it to hand over the data of U.S. app users. Which is true. This is a big thing. If China has your data, which the American government already has your data, but I guess somehow they figured if China has it, it's a bad thing. Okay. What the legislation would do. The bill would prohibit TikTok from U.S. app stores unless the social media platform, roughly used by roughly 170 million Americans, is spun off from ByteDance. The bill would give ByteDance roughly 5 months to sell TikTok. If not divested by that time, it would be illegal for the App Store operations such as Apple and Google to make it available to download. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer remained uncommitted Wednesday to the next steps in the Senate, just saying that the chamber will review the legislation. Senate Intelligence Committee Chairman Mark Warner, a Virginia Democrat, and the panel's top Republican Marco Rubio of Florida urged support for the House bill, citing the strong showing in Wednesday's vote. Democratic Senator Maria Cantwell, the chair of Senate Commerce, Science, and Transmission Committee, wants to create a durable process that could apply to foreign entities beyond TikTok that might pose national security threats. So this is good, ultimately. I'm just being cynical because everybody knows the United States government has our data. It has our data, and there's nothing we could do about it. It's move the mic up. Demonstrated by the Patriot Act. It's very unconstitutional in my opinion. A lot of opinion of people that live here. So it's just frustrating, but good for them for trying to get something done here. What TikTok is saying. So TikTok has called for the legislation on an attack on the constitutional right of freedom of expression for its users. China's foreign ministry called the ban an act of bullying. Okay. In a video posted on X, CEO Xiao Chu thanked the community of TikTok users and said the community has invested in keeping user data safe on our platform, free from outside manipulation. He warned that if the bill is signed into law, it will impact hundreds and thousands of American jobs and take billions of dollars out of the pockets of creators and small businesses. It's actually true. I think it would. A lot of people use TikTok Shop. A lot of people use TikTok, not just the creators, but actual businesses to order whatever it is, materials, because they're so cheap. So this is true. It's something that's overlooked, but I think the overall net negative is larger than the positive, in my opinion. So former President Donald Trump, who was once a proponent of banning the platform, has since equivocated on his position, while Democrats are facing pressure from young progressives among TikTok who remained a preferable social media platform for them. So that's interesting too. Now, the market for social media services is highly concentrated, which could make it hard for TikTok to even find a buyer that U.S. competition regulators could accept, antitrust experts say. So that's very interesting. I don't know. If TikTok gets banned, I think a lot of Gen Z is going to be pissed off because, TikTok, for the older people that don't know, a lot of Gen Z uses TikTok as a search engine. Sometimes I do too. It's just easier to find a video clip or something like that. It rivals Google, which is crazy. It rivals Google, and it rivals YouTube too in terms of a video content creation platform, not just content creation, but content consummation platform. And so that's crazy too. If TikTok gets banned, obviously they have a couple months. If TikTok gets banned, I don't know, man. I think you're going to see a lot of people go back to YouTube. I think you're going to see a lot of people pissed off, obviously. But a lot of people go back to YouTube. A lot of people using Instagram and X, more specifically, more. So that'll be interesting. But it is good to see a bipartisan effort. I really don't believe in government's ability to do anything anymore. I feel like most of government, whether it's the Congress or the Senate, are bought and paid for. And so this must mean that the people behind the politicians, the people that bought the politicians, don't want TikTok to, for whatever reason, be legal in America. And so this must be your Zuckerbergs, your people that are in charge of the American companies, right? Your Instagram, your Facebook, your X, Twitter, YouTube, stuff like that. Things that are American companies. That's probably who's backing all this and why it's such a bipartisan effort. If people are backing these politicians, which I personally think that they're bought and paid for once again, and so that's just what I think. But we'll see. To be honest with you, I don't really have an opinion. If TikTok gets banned, good. If not, also good. The American government already has our data, and so I really don't have a say in this. You know what I mean? I get that China having our data is a threat, don't get me wrong. Even though the owner of TikTok is saying, oh no, we don't harvest data, it's all completely ethical. It's probably bullshit, but our government, in terms of data and harvesting data, is much worse in my opinion, because it's our government. It's our data. And like they say that, you know, oh no, we don't do that. But then again, you have things like the Patriot Act. And I don't know, our government pretends to be the good guys a lot, and oftentimes that's not true. So I don't know. We'll see what happens there. It'll be very interesting. But there is one more thing that I did want to talk about today. It's about Ben Shapiro. And so Ben Shapiro he rose to prominence in the second term of the Obama administration. And what happened was he got famous for a bunch of debates he was doing. He would debate, like, he would go to colleges, right, which are majority liberal, and debate these, like, liberal students about policy and stuff and just completely demolish them in the debate. And then he went on to have his own podcast and has now I think he's partner. He has some ownership. He didn't found it. Of this thing called the Daily Wire, which is a bunch of news shows and stuff like that, like a media conglomerate, essentially like a new media conglomerate, and he's a part of it. And I think he does have ownership too. Very famous guy. He's a right-wing commentator, and the biggest one in terms of like being new media, not traditional mainstream. And so he was getting a lot of flack over the past couple days about his comments regarding Social Security, and I think it's worth a listen. I really do think it's worth a watch, and I want to get everybody's opinion on this as well. So here's what Ben Shapiro said about Social Security.
And let's be real about this. It's insane that we haven't raised the retirement age in the United States. It's totally crazy. Joe Biden, if that were the case, Joe Biden should not be running for president. Hey, Joe Biden is 81 years old. The retirement age in the United States at which you start to receive Social Security and you are eligible for Medicare is 65. Joe Biden has technically been eligible for Social Security and Medicare for 16 years, and he wants to continue in office until he is 86, which is 19 years past when he would be eligible for retirement. No one in the United States should be retiring at 65 years old.
So here's what I just don't understand real quick before we continue on with the video. Ben said that Joe Biden he's 16 years past the average age of retirement, implying that he's doing a good job. That's what I don't get, because Ben Shapiro usually attacks Joe Biden, rightfully so, on issues like his cognitive ability, right? He falls down a lot. He is just not a good president overall. You look at his approval rating. And so now Ben Shapiro is trying to make the argument that the age of retirement should be raised up past 65 because of our 81-year-old president just being in office in general, when in reality what Ben always does is he attacks Joe Biden based on his age, saying that he should retire, which is crazy. So I don't know. I don't get the argument here, but we're going to continue.
Frankly, I think retirement itself is a stupid idea unless you have some sort of health problem. Everybody that I know who is elderly, who has retired, is dead within 5 years. And if you talk to people who are elderly and they lose their purpose in life by losing their job and they stop working, things go to hell in a handbasket real quick. But put all of that aside, just on a fiscal level and on a logical level. When Franklin Delano Roosevelt established 65 as the retirement age, the average life expectancy in the United States was 63 years old. Today, the average life expectancy in the United States is close to 80. It's totally insane that you believe that you should be able to work from the time that you are essentially 20 to the time that you are 65, which is a 45-year period, pay in, and then you will receive Social Security benefits sufficient to support you and your family, you and your wife or whatever, for like another 20 years. That's crazy talk. That is not fiscally sustainable. The notion that if you have to raise the retirement age to 67 or 68, that everyone is going to fall apart. My parents are that age. My parents are not retired. And they shouldn't retire. It would be very bad for them to retire. By the way, it's disrespectful to people who are 67, 68, 69 years old to suggest that they are in the same shape as people who are 65 were in 1940. It's not true at all. Have you met a 65-year-old lately? 65-year-olds are not old in the United States. They're not. 68-year-olds are not old in the United States.
This is true.
Again, Joe Biden thinks he's not old, and that dude is running for president again, and that dude actually is old, and he's 81. I failed to see how a country in which our entire leadership class is 80 plus is telling you that we should have a retirement age of 65. It makes no sense at all.
Huh. You know what? I actually went into that whole video wanting to like be opposite to Ben Shapiro. I'm a fan of Ben Shapiro, but I didn't understand the argument that he was originally making. But honestly, guys, that makes sense. It's a good point that he brought up. The average age when Social Security was instituted in America was the average age that you would live to was 63, and now it is somewhere like in the late 70s. I think the last time I saw it, it was like 77, 78 was the average like life expectancy in America. And so Ben makes a decent point, honestly, because when you talk about the national debt, what I found out recently, and when you look into it, it's not really our government. It's the American people. We own our own debt. And so if Social Security is bankrupting our country, maybe take a look at it a little bit. I don't think you remove it, though. I think a social safety net that you pay into while you're working, but I pay into it, and I own a business. I still pay into it. I think it's good. I think it should definitely be there. His point about raising the retirement age a couple years, I mean, I'm not going to make a statement or like agree or disagree, but I think it's definitely an interesting concept. Because people now, I mean, 65, you talk about 65, anybody you know at 65 is still good. But then again, you want to get to a point also where you're able to enjoy your retirement. Like my aunt retired at 49, and she's thriving. But it's just like you should be able to retire early if you have the means, like she did, if you prepare, if you invest well and stuff like that, which I think it's not what he's saying, but I don't know. I also don't think, though, that you should work until you die. That's stupid. It's just, and I don't think he was getting at that, but I largely see his argument. I think that people misconstrued it a little bit. And I certainly thought that he was saying just remove Social Security entirely, which isn't what he was saying. So that's interesting, man. What do you guys think about that? What do you think about the whole episode, too, the podcast in general? Do you like the solo episodes? They're certainly doing better than the episodes with other people. I might just continue the solo episodes. Screw it, right? Who cares? But yeah. So please, if you haven't already, subscribe. That's the show. That's the podcast, right? Subscribe to the channel. Please give this video a like. Give me a comment, please. We're doing big things. Have some products that were sent to me by a couple companies, including these sunglasses. Shout out Air Shades. A couple reviews, a couple unboxings I'm going to do. Very excited about that. So we will see you next week. Please stay sane in this country. Go outside. We have better weather, at least if you're in the Midwest. Go outside. Touch grass. Right? Get off your phone. I know I have to more. Get off your phone. Enjoy your relationship more. Enjoy your husband or your wife or your girlfriend or your boyfriend or your non-binary partner, whatever. Enjoy it. Enjoy life. Because, let's be honest here, life is so short. So just enjoy it. We'll see ya.